Are your players rude? Do they kill important NPCs just for fun? Worst of all, do they never bring snacks? Sounds like you need Bahamut, God of Justice and destroyer of D&D parties since 1975. Nobody is better equipped to make them pay for their sins and earn you some respect. Don't believe me? Here's everything Bahamut has to offer. Let's start with the big guns, the breast weapons. That's right, plural. In his Fizban's Treasury of Dragons package, Bahamut offers not one, but two to choose from. Both are 300-foot cones, and the first deals an average of 66 radiant damage on a failed dex save, which is the DC of 26, by the way. But the second one is what should really scare your players. It restores 13 D10 hit points to any creature it touches that Bahamut chooses, and brings them back to life at full health if they've been dead for less than an hour. So sure, your party might take out some of the other lawyer celestials he brings to the fight, but they'll be back after a quick recess. As for Bahamut himself, if your players try to bring any evidence against the dragon, his defense is watertight. Let's ignore his 585 hit points or ridiculous 23 AC, because they'll have trouble getting anything to even stick. Bahamut is immune to acid, cold, fire, lightning, and radiant damage. Not to mention, he can't be stunned, charmed, deafened, frightened, or paralyzed. And if they somehow get past all of that, not to mention his insane saving throw bonuses, he'll just object to their testimony anyway, because he's got legendary resistances. 5 of them, letting him succeed on any rare failures. Doesn't matter how your players try to go on the attack, Bahamut's always one step ahead. When it's Bahamut's turn to grill your party, watch out, because even if his breast weapons are still recharging, he gets 3 attacks every turn. A bite, which deals both piercing and force damage, a claw, which can grapple and restrain them at the same time, and his tail, which requires a DC 27 strength save or they're knocked prone. So to be clear, Bahamut can knock one of your players down with his first attack, restrain them so they can't get up with his second, and bite them for big damage at advantage with his third. All while the others watch in horror, knowing they're next. Even when your players get to make their case, they need to be wary, because Bahamut is a legendary cross-examiner. He gets 3 legendary actions each round, which he can use between turns. For 1 action, he can make a claw or tail attack. Not bad. But for 2, he can supercharge a bite, dealing damage and forcing them to make a DC 27 wisdom save or be frightened until the end of their next turn. So they can't move closer, and they have disadvantage on all their attacks and ability checks. In legal terms, we call that not ideal. But above all else, Bahamut knows that a case isn't over until it's over. And it's a lesson your party will learn if they get him down to 0 hit points, because Bahamut isn't just a legendary lawyer, he's a mythic one. The moment his hit points drop to nothing, he instantly gets 500 more, recharges his breast weapon, and gets back any legendary resistances that he's used. Basically, the fight starts over again, only your party is still as tired as ever. He also gets access to his mythic actions, which he can use instead of his regular legendary ones. For 2, he can summon 7 paralegals to protect him. Ancient gold dragons, to be exact, which grant him 77 temp hit points until his next turn. And for 3, he can rain down magical lances that cause anyone caught by their impact to make a DC 27 dex save or take 7d6 force damage. It's not enough to get a single conviction, you have to beat this guy twice before he gives in. Despite his overwhelming strengths, even Bahamut isn't perfect. So if you plan to hire him to crush your party, keep these best practices in mind. Even with his defenses being out of this world, Bahamut doesn't dish out that much damage on his turns. For context, an ancient red dragon deals 91 damage with its breath weapon, as opposed to 66 for the God of Justice. If your players are giving him everything they have, they might be able to keep up. So Bahamut is probably best served passing judgment one player at a time, focusing them down with all his attacks before moving on to the next. Remember, once a player is grappled, Bahamut can drag them 120 feet in the air with his fly speed. Perfect for raining down holy fire on the rest while they finish off their victim from afar. And then there's the legendary actions. Well, you can make a case for most having their uses. Between you and me, the Celestial Lances probably aren't worth it. Unless you're facing down an army of players, 24 force damage on average at the cost of all his legendary actions just isn't enough. Especially when you take none on a successful save. Maybe use this once for flavor, because it looks cool, and then stick to the more effective actions. Besides that, I suppose you should have your party draft their wills. Would have want all those magic items to go to waste. When you need your party taken down fast, and you want it done in the most lavish way possible, look no further than Bahamut. Sure, some people might question why you hired a literal god to punish your players because they tried to haggle with your innkeeper, but you'll be too busy laughing at their defeat to care. Bahamut, when you don't want the fight to drag on, hire this drag in. Yeah, okay.
Bahamut is not liable for any burns, holy judgment, or radiant destruction that occurs while working a case. Payment should be made in the form of good deeds done whenever you have time. He gets it. Bahamut won't accept cases involving good people. Your players really have to deserve it, or at least be annoying. If Tiamat is listening, please go away. The restraining order is still in effect.
Oh, and crit your players.